Hey, Bill Groody here for Indivisible Lake County and for our series, What's Going On? I'm on my way up to Cobb Mountain to the Little Red Schoolhouse for a meeting with Congressman Mike Thompson. We're going to talk about politics, of course, and the political environment in California these days is about as rocky as this road, so it should be quite interesting. We want to talk about congressional redistricting, which could have a big impact here in Lake County. But we also want to spend some time reflecting on the 10th anniversary of the Valley Fire. Elizabeth Larson from LakecoNews will be joining me to add her perspective, so it should be quite an interesting conversation. Congressman Mike Thompson, great to have you with us here. Elizabeth Larson from LakecoNews, great to have you. Thank you so much for taking time out.
I'm glad to be here. This is fantastic.
A little bit of background. Congressman Mike was first elected in 1998. What a resume. Member of the House Ways and Means Committee, a mover and shaker in the Wine Caucus, the Sportsman's Caucus, the Veterans Caucus, I should say, and the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force, which I'm thinking a lot about because of the recent events in Minnesota. We're here at a place called the Little Red Schoolhouse. It's a clubhouse for the Cobb Mountain Lions Club. I want to shout out to the Lions Club for hosting us today. And Mike, I look forward to sitting in on your coffee and conversation, which follows our conversation here. I want to begin by just looking back, and I'm thinking you just drove up here from Napa, and you're fresh from the Picket Fire, and we're approaching the 10th anniversary of the Valley Fire. And I just be curious to know what your thoughts are as you look back 10 years.
It's been a heck of a run, as you know. Fires has devastated our district. We've had devastating fires in every county of our district, and we've lost lives, we've lost homes, we've lost property. It has really stretched us in regard to our public safety response to the limits. So we're all very, very mindful of this, and the ramifications of these fires don't stop when the smoke's gone and the fire's out. We're paying the price for these fires today. Continue to pay that. Can't get homeowners insurance. People who want to sell homes can't because of the insurance issue. People who want to buy homes can't because of the insurance issue. It's been really tough. The recent fire that you referenced down in Napa County, I read an article today where the cost of that fire is at about $65 million today. And that is a combination of all the resources it takes to deploy on one of these fires, and then the economic impact that it has on a community. And the article was pointing out that this was largely in the wine space, where you had one prominent vineyard burned down, you had burned up, and you have a smoke taint concern where people won't be able to now sell or use their fruit because it's been adulterated because by the fire smoke. So it's tragic. We need to do a lot more. The resiliency work that we've been able to do, the preventive work, the fire safe councils have been amazing. I hear from the Cal Fire folks every time I visit with them during this current fire, is that they would not have been able to be as successful as they have been had it not been for the preventive work that all the fire safe councils have done and the county has done.
When I think back over the fires and the floods and the other disasters we've had over the last decade, one of the big players has always been FEMA. So I'm kind of curious about how the federal response, how federal funding, how the federal agencies may be responding going forward, because it seems like there's a lot of changes going on.
Yeah, and I'm really worried about that. FEMA, our district has been through fires, floods, earthquakes, you name it. We've been hit by it. And FEMA has just been the knight on the white horse who've come in and helped us immensely. And this administration wants to do away with FEMA. They've made all kinds of federal government cutbacks. They fired all the probationary employees in every sector of the federal government. They're finding out how stupid of a move that was going into the tax season. I'm sure you've been following this, where they're begging the people that they fired and forced out of the IRS to come back so they can do their job. And the reality is, you can't fight fire. You can't protect the lives and the homes and the property of people in our area without people, and that's a very important component of it. And so I'm really worried. I suspect that FEMA response, especially on the financial end, is going to be slow if it comes at all, and that really puts people at a disadvantage. When you lose your home and your property, you don't need the runaround. You need help, and you need it quickly. And that's why I'm one of the people that believe that FEMA is one of the most important government entities that we have. When people need help, they need it now, and FEMA has always been able to respond, and I think they're being compromised right now.
We've lost tens of millions of dollars in funding to Napa and Sonoma. Do you have an idea of how much federal money has been cut or is frozen or is that we're being deprived of right now here in Lake County?
Well, I know that in the fire area, we had these brick grants. And the irony is that these came about in the first Trump administration. And Napa and Sonoma each had a big brick grant that they received. Napa was $25 million, Sonoma was $35 million. And this current Trump administration canceled that, pulled it back, and these are monies that can go to do the resiliency work to make the fighting fire much easier. I don't know the full number. I can tell you that it's big.
Probably north of $10 million.
Oh, easily. And our district's a big district, so think about all the research funding that was canceled over at UC Davis. Research for cancer programs, Alzheimer's research, spina bifida, all the ag research that's done over there, all those dollars gone. And and now look at what's coming up, with this big ugly bill that was passed and signed into law. Big ugly law now, but that takes $1 trillion out of healthcare, and that devastates. It's gonna hurt everybody. It's gonna devastate rural areas.
Is there evidence that federal money is moving from California to other states, or is there just across the board cuts?
Well, I don't think you can classify it as across the board. I think it's pretty clear that this administration is punishing blue states, and California is at the top of the list of those blue states. So I think the federal government cuts. When you fire 7,000 VA employees, if you're a veteran and you need to get through on the crisis hotline, if you're in West Virginia or California and nobody picks up the phone on the other end, you're in trouble. So it doesn't. I don't think that it singles out. I don't think every one of these cuts singles out a Californian or a blue state, but they hurt everybody.
Has there been any concern that they might close the clinic you worked so hard to build, the VA clinic in Clear Lake?
Well, there was talk about that today at the judges' breakfast. I've seen no evidence that that's going to happen, but I'll fight that. I'll die on that hill.
How about the NOAA office over in Ukiah? I've heard it's open, it's closed, it's open, it's closed. Have you heard anything more about that?
I've heard it's open, it's closed, it's open, it's closed. The early reports were that they were defunding that, and the weather stuff, the functions that NOAA provides, that's important for agriculture. It's important for the fisheries and for the fishing community, and it's important for residents up and down the state because of the climate issues we face and any severe weather that comes about. This is really critical.
Yeah, I want to transition now from firestorms to the firestorm of politics, which is I think there's so many analogies there, but overall, what is your 30,000-foot take on the redistricting effort?
Let me start by saying I love the district that I represent now, and I'm a strong believer and supporter in the independent, nonpartisan commissions that draw these lines. I've always supported legislation to make that the law in all 50 states. I think every state should use that model. And I am totally against mid-decade redistricting. The only reason you do that is for political reasons. And that's what started us down the course we're on right now. The President of the United States called the governor of Texas and said, steal 5 seats. I want 5 more Republicans in Congress. And I think Governor Newsom responded appropriately. This is a fight that we have to make. You don't unilaterally disarm. If they take 5 Democratic seats and just automatically through partisan redistricting shift those to the Republican side, that's going to have a devastating impact. So as much as I don't like it, as much as I would like to keep what we have now, I think it's absolutely necessary for our republic and for our democracy.
So by some accounts, District 1 is considered the one most likely to flip. What do you think about that?
That's would be the new Santa Rosa Chico. Yeah. No, I think it would. Yeah, they're going to pick up seats. That's why the district that they drew for me, for my constituency, includes counties that I've never represented before: Sutter, Yuba County, Sacramento County, Placer County, and it's all done to meet what is being done to us in Texas.
Is it a certainty, do you think, that if the measure passes, that Mike McGuire will run?
I don't know. I'm sure it's a seat that he has to look at.
I think whoever it is, Doug LaMalfa is a formidable candidate, 6-term incumbent, huge war chest. It could be a really nasty.
Not in that seat. Not the way that it's drawn.
No, really. You feel really confident?
Oh yeah, it's a Democratic seat.
Are you concerned about the administration using things like IRS audits and claims job insurance fraud to put even more pressure on candidates?
Of course I am. I think this administration, this president, are out of control. I think they're violating the Constitution. I think they're violating laws. I think they've taken nasty gutter politics to a new low. And I think we should all be concerned with that.
You know, redistricting, as you said, is only temporary if this passes. But is there, a feeling of eroding trust in the system just by changing?
I think the eroding trust,
even if it passes, I should say.
I think eroding trust has been something that the Republicans have tried to generate from day number one. This president, that's what he's been all about, talking about how the elections were rigged. He didn't really lose the first one. It was stolen from him because of mail-in ballots. He won this time, and now he wants to do away with mail-in ballots. Now he wants to do away with mail-in ballots. They're trying their best to cause people to lose any type of trust they have in the government.
And doesn't he vote mail-in?
He does.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting. So how about your decreased margin in District 4? Are there any concerns that you have there?
It's a safe Democratic district for me. I'll go back to representing a county that I've represented in the past, and that's Colusa County. I was up visiting them this week, and they're excited about it. I'm talking with people, and we'll soon be visiting with people in Yuba and Sutter County. The Sacramento community has welcomed me with open arms. The mayor of Sacramento, the sheriff in Sacramento County both endorsed me. So,
the governor has certainly figured out the social media thing.
Oh yeah.
And I see you on Facebook more and more and more and more. Do you think this is something that other candidates can replicate, or is his style and his approach sort of a one-off? And should the DNC be thinking about this sort of stuff?
Yes to all of the above. The governor is in a unique position, given his stature, his financial resources. He can get out quicker than most people. But I think it's fair to say that the Democrats are reevaluating how they talk to voters, and I think you're seeing a lot of evidence of that, and I think it will only improve.
What do you expect to see when you get back to D.C.? It's kind of crazy. What are your colleagues, do you think, going to make of the show of force on the streets, the checkpoints, on all of that?
That's where I was going to start. The first thing that I am not looking forward to, but fully expect to see, is the deployment of the National Guard in the city of Washington, D.C. And that's something that this president has been bragging about doing in other areas as well. I don't think he can. He can legally do it in Washington, D.C. He can't legally do it in San Francisco and Chicago, so it'll be a real fight. And I'll preempt you, Elizabeth, because I know you're going to give me the same thing that you gave me on the mail-in ballots. You're going to say you say it's legal for the president to deploy the National Guard in Washington, D.C. Why wasn't it legal for him to do it on January 6th? And it's very legitimate. And the fact is, it was legal then, and that's when he should have done it. I am not 100% against using state and federal resources to help address crime issues at the local level. Heck, I did legislation for Lake County when I was in the state Senate that the town of Clear Lake had a ballot measure to increase sales tax to go for police services. And they asked me if I would bring the highway patrol in until they had a chance to hear from the voters on that. And I did. And the Highway Patrol came in and worked with the Clear Lake Police and Clear Lake local government and to address the crime issue. They did a fantastic job. And when that ballot measure went before the voters, it was passed by, I think it was 84% of the voters in Clear Lake said, yes, raise our taxes to make our community safer. The key is working with the state and the local governments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Measure P remains a key source of funding for Clear Lake's police department to this day.
Was I right on remembering the percentage?
I think you were.
Yeah.
I think you were. So we're seeing and hearing stories about a lot of members of Congress having some pretty rough town halls. One of the latest ones was Doug LaMalfa about 2 weeks ago in Chico. So there's something definitely bubbling up out there. Do you think it's going to make any difference?
Well, it's interesting. I don't think it's just Republicans who have had interesting and rowdy town halls. Democrats have too. Voters are upset, and understandably so. You know, we're all concerned about the same issue. We're all mad about this administration. We're very upset. I guess I can say it on the radio. You'll beat me if not. But people are pissed off, and rightfully so. There's some things that are being done that are illegal, unconstitutional, unprecedented, immoral, and people should be feeling angry. I know I am, and so I've gotten I've been on the pointy end of the criticism in the town halls, and it's understandable. And I'm quite honestly, I'm glad people are worked up because that's what it's going to take. You know, it's not enough to say you're our representative. Why aren't you fixing this? Or as somebody asked me in a town hall, why haven't you arrested Elon Musk? Well, you know, I don't have arrest powers, but I'm doing everything I can, and I'll do anything else that I can. But I think we have to remember that what are those first words? We the people. This is our responsibility, not just mine, not just yours. This is our responsibility to get involved, to organize, to sound off, and to bring this to an end.
You know, back to D.C., what do you think are the prospects for a shutdown?
Well, we're only going to have a couple of weeks before the budget, before we run out of money. So there's a very real likelihood. I can't imagine anybody wants to shut down the federal government. So there's going to be a lot of effort, I believe, to find some way by which to fund these essential services. But it's not easy, and it was exacerbated when the Republicans reneged on the last deal that they made. And they rescinded all of the funding that they agreed to, that got us a negotiated bipartisan funding mechanism to fund the federal government. And then when they rescinded that, everyone's lost faith in their ability to truthfully negotiate.
What have you been seeing on your visits around the district? What's bubbling up there? What are the main concerns that you're hearing?
On an issue-by-issue basis, people are mad about the deep cuts that are coming in healthcare, $1 trillion out of Medicaid. Rural areas are going to be affected the worst, but everybody is going to be impacted. But in rural areas, there'll be more hospitals, more clinics that are closed, be more services that are reduced. People are upset about the loss in developing renewable energy. People are very upset about the loss to veteran services and all of the firings of researchers. Their research funds funding cuts have just devastated that industry. People don't want to become research scientists anymore. They say there's no future here. I'm going to go do something else. People are upset that a lot of this big ugly bill was sold on the fact that the debt was too high, and yet this added $4.5 trillion to the debt. I think people are upset that people who don't need a tax cut in this environment are getting a huge tax cut. Make $1 million, get $290 a day in tax cuts. Make $50,000, get whatever it is, 47 cents a day. So it's not fair. People are concerned about the attacks on Social Security. I've had 4 or 5 people call my office and say, hey, I'm just calling because I got a letter from Social Security that said I'm dead, and I want you to know that I'm not, and I need help, restoring my Social Security benefits.
Well, and speaking of Medicaid, I mean, in Lake County, I believe the number of Medicaid recipients is something like 52% of the population.
I think it's higher than that, but yeah.
And so I guess the question is, what are you starting to see any creative solutions or ideas for how this is going to be dealt with when it starts to hit next year?
I don't know that there's any such thing as a creative solution. If you take 50% of the funding away from healthcare, it's going to hurt. I know that the state is going to do everything it can, and I know the county is going to do everything it can, but it still comes down to dollars. And if you don't have the dollars, it's going to hurt a lot. And in the kind of the California number is 1 in 3 folks depend upon Medicaid, and as you point out in Lake County, it's over 50% depend on Medicaid. So whatever number you use, if it's the 1 in 3, these cuts aren't going to affect 1 in every 3 patient. It's going to affect 3 out of every 3, because hospitals are going to close, clinics are going to close, rest homes are going to close. Some are going to stay open by reducing services, firing people, cutting the services that they offer. And if you have great insurance or you're wealthy and you can afford to pay by cash, if you go to the hospital and the person you need to save your life is the one that got fired, you're impacted just as much as a Medicaid person.
It seems we dodged the bullet on the education cuts that came down in June, that $9 billion or so. What I hear from Brock Falkenberg, superintendent of schools up here, is that they were successful in restoring some of the funding. And I'm wondering what you think might be the prospects for further cuts down the road. These cuts seem to affect peripheral programs, but the core programs may well be in jeopardy. Anything on your radar that we need to track?
Education has been a major target in this administration. They did the executive order to do away with the Department of Education, which they can't do. But they're setting, they're creating the momentum. They're creating the push. The rural schools funding from the timber revenues has not been renewed, and that's going to be Lake County suffers from that. So I don't think we're out of the woods.
Really locally, what do you see going on in the wine industry now? I mean, we have the tariff situation impacting them. Things are really constricting, to say the least. I drove up here and I noticed on Andy Beckstoffer's vineyards, they're pulling a whole lot of fruit out of the ground, pulling up crop. What is going on there, and how is that industry affected by what's going on with the administration, and what can we do about it?
Well, a number of things, and start with tariffs. You know, this is a self-inflicted wound. We started a war, a tariff war, and American consumers are going to pay through the nose because of this, and we're already seeing that. Prices have already gone up. Prices will continue to go up, and this hurts people who can least afford it. And groceries are going to be more expensive. Gasoline, cars, whatever you're buying is going to be impacted by this. In regard to partially in regard to tariffs, it's important to know that California's biggest wine export country is Canada. So a combination of the tariff war against Canada and this nonsensical 51st state nonsense, BS, whatever you want to call it, has really caused problems. You can't get a bottle of wine in Canada. They've taken all of the U.S. alcoholic products off the shelf. And it's going to be hard to win that market share back. As I understand it, it's going to be easier for bourbon when it does open back up. But for wine, people have moved on. They've found other wines that they like, and it's going to take a lot of time to get our market share back, if we ever get it all back. And then the immigration catastrophe that they've created, I can't see any scenario where that doesn't hurt us somehow. In wine, in any type of agriculture, in any type of hospitality, it's going to hurt. And I think it was University of Michigan or Michigan State University, one of the two, did a study on the impact of what his immigration policy will do. And bottom line, it's going to create a situation where businesses can't find employees, number one. And number two, all those employees that he wants to send home are a huge buying community. So business is going to lose out on this huge group of very important consumers.
Are you seeing a lot of young people starting to come up and voice their concerns about where the country is going? And if not, how do you think people need to make sure that they get involved in order to have a say-so in this country that they're going to have in their hands before very long?
No, I agree. I think what we all need to work harder to make sure that young people are fully participatory in the government sector. I do all the things that I do. I visit the schools. I do internships. I have a student leadership council, and I'm very, very proud of the young people that go through that student leadership council. And we just had an alumni reunion the other day, and it was pretty impressive when you see what some of those young people are doing today. It's a different story. Young people get their news different ways, different places. They have different ways to participate. We need to get better at figuring that out and to bring them into the loop. I think I see more people today than I did last year at this time or the year before at this time. We just need to keep it going.
Well, we're just about out of time, so I have one burning question that brings us all together. What's your position on the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce engagement?
I think it's awesome. I think that they're a great couple, and it's been a relationship that I think the country and probably the world has seen develop. They seem incredibly happy together, and I'm all for people being happy together.
You think they'll get married in wine country?
I don't know. You think he'll wear a tuxedo or a cardigan?
Good questions. These are all pressing questions, Mike.
Mike, I just want to thank you so much for taking time to be with us. It's been just delightful to be under the trees here and just to be in a spot that was not touched by that valley fire so long ago. And good luck on the campaign, and we look forward to hearing what you got to say to the folks inside.
I'm here to listen, so I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say.
Good.
All right. Thanks so much.
It's always good to catch up with Mike. He is good company. His town hall at the Little Red Schoolhouse up on Cobb was animated and alive with enthusiasm. He assured the group that even though his new district would only cover the southernmost parts of Lake County, he would be sure to look out for the interests of all of us. If Measure 50, the temporary redistricting, succeeds, and if Mike McGuire runs and wins in District 1, as we hope, we will have a powerful duo advocating for us and for the forces of democracy in Washington, D.C. come 2026. Our challenge is to remain active, engaged, and involved. And to that end, please use the link in the show notes below to sign up for our newsletter. I'm Bill Groody for Indivisible Lake County. Now you know what's going on.